All right, Jeff, thank you for the video. I was just reading your email. I also got a chance to look at your swings, and I would agree with you that yes, there's something we can work on your backswing to help you out a little bit. And let me show you what we'd like to see change as far as your ball and club contact goes, though. So we're going to get ahead a little bit. So what's happening is, as you deliver the club to the ball and start your downswing, you'll notice your hands start to move out towards the target line as you start this downswing. We call that the over-the-top move. And what's going to happen is when you get down towards the ball, your club will be traveling to the left usually a little bit too much. You'll hit balls on the toe. You'll tend to hit pulls and slices. Okay? And so what happens is when we make a backswing with less than a perfect pivot, we open ourselves up to that problem. So let's switch over here to your face-on view. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you. I'm going to put a line right on your back hip here. And I'm going to put a line at your initial setup here. So see how your spine is kind of straight up and down like that? We would actually like to see it tilted a little bit. So we'd like to see your right shoulder a little bit lower than your left, which it is, but we want you to get your head kind of drop back a little bit so that you have some amount of tilt to your spine from this angle, like that green line right there. I'm going to bring up a tour player as a comparison. And I've got a face-on view here of Rory McIlroy we've been using a lot, so we'll go to that. So notice how Rory's got that tilt going on there. Put a line there for Rory. See that? And I'll put a line on his right hip also. So what he's going to do is he's going to maintain the orientation of his tilt. And we call this a secondary spine tilt. So this angle right here of his torso, how he's tilted a little bit, he's going to maintain that. So let's watch this. See how he turns back? See how if you look at his spine right now, he's maintained that tilt where the top of his spine is farther from the target than the bottom of his spine, just like it was at setup. Okay? Now let's take a look over here and watch you. And I'm going to get rid of those lines. I'm just going to keep this hip line. And before I start your swing, take a look at Rory's hip over here. So notice that his hip did not slide back. And let's watch what we do. So as you start back, your hip is going to slide back a little bit, and you're lifting your arms up more, right? And then what happens is in order for you to get back to the ball, you don't really have the ability in the room to be able to drop your hands underneath the way that we'd like to see in a little more of an in-out swing path. And this is going to create, or really kind of make it a lot easier for you to come over the top of that out to in swing path. Okay, so that's what we want to try to affect and change. Okay, that's the number one priority, is the pivot. And so I'm going to get Rory back in here again. And the idea is that when you look at the way he's set up, he's going to turn his hips, but he's not going to slide them. And he's going to turn his shoulders, and he's going to allow the arms to swing and not lift back up. Okay. If this really works out properly, you'll see that you can take a really good player, and as he sets up, his head is already back behind the ball, and his spine is tilted. Ooh, wrong tool. His spine is tilted, and he's going to just turn his shoulders and turn his hips right with the way his anatomy is built. So this really isn't that tough of a move to make. And you can see he's got all that weight moved to his right foot, moved to his back foot, and you can see his head didn't have to slide back at all to make that happen. And that's because of how he's set up and the pivot that he made. So I'm going to send this video to you right now as it is. This pivot is going to be of utmost importance, and I'm going to attach the following video that I already pre-recorded to help you learn how to make a really good pivot. You can practice this in the house with a mirror. You don't even need to hit balls to practice this, but this is the first thing for you to work on. And when you get better with this, and I know because I used to be really bad at it, once you get better at it, it will really help you hit the ball a whole lot better. Please catch up with me if you have any other questions, Jeff, and thanks again for sending the video over. Okay, the pivot, here it is. We're going to think about the way our spine is working, our shoulders and hips are working. So when we set up to a golf shot, remember this. For a right-handed golfer, Your right hand is lower on the club than your left hand, so our right shoulder should be lower than our left shoulder. And what that does is that tilts our spine a little bit so that the top part of my spine is farther from the target than the lower part of my spine. And what we want to do is, as much as possible, we want to maintain the orientation of this tilt to our upper body. So a good-looking pivot would look kind of like this. And you can see what's happening is I'm maintaining my torso angle so that the top of my torso up here is farther from the target than the bottom end of my torso. Really, really common. If you look at yourself in the mirror, if you look at yourself on video, we see a lot of golf swings where the right hip or the back hip slides backwards. And look what happens as my hips slide backwards. I get a reverse pivot. I'm actually not able to turn my shoulders or my hips properly, and I end up with a out to in swing path. A lot of times we end up with a reverse weight shift coming through. We hit top shots and chunk shots and all that. So here's the pivot drill. We're going to set up looking in a mirror with the club right up on top of our shoulders like this. I'm going to get down into my golf posture. And again, I'm a right-handed golfer, so my right shoulder is lower than my left shoulder. All right? And I'm going to look in the mirror, and I'm going to make sure that I'm turning my hips and shoulders, and I'm maintaining this relationship where my spine stays tilted. Okay? I do not want to end up with this sort of a thing. All right? We need to get back over here. Now, when we look at things from down the target line, the next part is this. I'm tilted. Again, this is my primary spine angle, we call it. You can see that obviously I've got a tilt. I'm not straight up and down here. So when we do our drill, I'm going to look in the mirror again. I need to make sure my back shoulder is lower than my front. And I'm going to maintain now the tilt this way as well. So this is something that's really critical. At first, when we have somebody that's got a problem with their pivot, they will tend to, when they do this drill, come this way. And, you know, at least I'm getting at least when I do it that way, I am keeping the orientation correct over here, but we need to keep it correct on both angles, both down the target line as well as from the face-on view. Okay, so this is something you can do, practice in front of a mirror, and what I would recommend is start off with this face-on view where you can see that trail shoulder comes down. We've got a spine tilt here, and we can turn the shoulders and turn the hips. I'm just not sliding the hips and letting them turn. This is something that's a lot easier to do with a club up like this than it is with your hands on the club. It's just a lot harder at first to do it while you're swinging the club. Once you get it down from this point of view, then start looking at yourself in the mirror this way. Okay, I've got this nice tilt to my spine going this way, my good posture. I'm going to maintain it, and I want my shoulders to turn 90 degrees relative to my spine. I don't want that to happen. Okay, so that's the way it is down the line. That's the way it is face on. Practice this 5 or 10 minutes a day, and your golf game will get a whole lot better. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel for more instructional videos.